Hello and welcome to the Dead End Podcast, a project in collaboration with California Humanities. In this podcast, we aim to highlight the multiple dead ends faced by our team while searching for resources given to the homeless population in the Inland Empire. Today, we welcome our last journalist, Maria Zalavar. How are you doing today?
Hi, Nate. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
For sure. So I wanted to ask you, what was your role in this project and why do you feel like it was important?
So, I had multiple roles throughout this project. The one that we will be focusing on today was to get a professional's opinion and insights on the issue of homelessness.
So naturally, I got to ask you, who's this professional?
Yeah, his name is Eric Gavin, and he's a wonderful individual who was so kind to take the time to speak to me and give me the most insightful words I've ever heard.
So what is his title, like his background, some information on him as a person and his career?
So, Eric Gavin was the homeless liaison for the cities of Upland and Fontana, California. He was the former homeless liaison. And what a homeless liaison is, basically, they play a critical role in facilitating communication and coordination between local government agencies, community organizations, and homeless individuals. Their primary responsibility is to develop and implement strategies to address homelessness within their jurisdiction. So that can involve anywhere from advocating for policies and initiatives aimed at providing housing, healthcare, support services for the homeless population.
Wow, it sounds like he has a lot of
Yeah.
responsibilities, a lot of things on his plate. Does he
Yeah.
still do that to this day?
No, he no longer is the homeless liaison for those cities. He's working on some other projects that we can't mention.
Okay, he's
But
he's still doing things that are important. It seems like.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so based on your interview with him, what were some of the main challenges Eric encountered while working with unhoused individuals in these cities?
So basically, one of the main challenges that Eric faced was the difficulty in finding housing for homeless individuals, especially considering the lack of availability and affordability of housing in California,
Yeah.
which everybody's feeling that right now. Additionally, he mentioned the issue of NIMBYism, which stands for not in my backyard,
Mm.
where public opinion often opposes efforts to build more housing or improve mental health facilities for the homeless population. So it this opinion could not only just be the residents of cities, but also the people that are in positions of power, such as mayors and people that actually create the laws, things like that. It doesn't necessarily reflect the public's opinion. It could just be that that's how legislators feel. But of course, there is so much stigma around homelessness that we'll get into more later on today.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. I mean, there's definitely people who look down and dehumanize these people for really no reason. These are people as
Absolutely.
well. I think that it's really good that the term NIMBYism is created and is a thing because there needs to be a word to show like that hatred that people have for no
Yes.
reason towards those who are homeless. Moving on, right? So to build off NIMBYism, why is homelessness not accepted in the majority of society?
Well, that is such a difficult answer. There's so many layers and layers on that. Of course, the stigma plays a huge role. There's so many misconceptions about homeless people that people may think that these people are lazy or that they're just not good people or
Drugs or
yeah, that
whatever
there's
it may
drugs
be.
involved. Exactly. And there's so much stigma around all of these issues around the drug use and the marginalization of these people that they aren't humanized. It's so simple and easy for people to look at them like they're less than when really they're humans just like us. And especially with the economy the way that it is right now, so many people, the majority of Americans, live paycheck to paycheck, and people don't realize that that could be any one of us.
Yeah, easily.
Hmm.
And I bet, majority of those listening to this are they either know someone or have been in that situation. And, imagine being in that situation on the streets and just
Yeah.
asking for help and not receiving anything. These are people too.
Absolutely. And that's what's so difficult is that once people are on the streets, Eric Gavin put it perfectly. He said it's kind of like putting an addict on the strip of Las Vegas, which,
Yeah.
that's the last place that we would want these people to be. And that's really all that there is on the streets, unfortunately, is, there's drugs and there's drink alcohol and there's just not very many good things on the street for people. So, and that's just kind of what comes with that lifestyle. And of course, sometimes homeless people will start doing drugs to cope with how heavy their life is, to forget about how hungry they are because they can't focus on that. They don't want to focus on that. And just all the heavy trauma that they go through, and, domestic abuse heavily ties in as well. So these people have lived harsh lives, usually have trauma. So it's just something that we need to empathize with.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a heavy topic for anyone to even hear, but to live through it is a totally different situation. I've once compared it to like falling in quicksand. You take a
Yeah.
step into it, and next thing you know, you're fully swallowed up.
Yeah.
And it's, the way society is, it's definitely built to almost be that way. It punishes you for already being down and out, and it rewards those who are already very fortunate in their lives. So, that's
Absolutely,
definitely,
yeah. The system isn't built to help these people, unfortunately. It just further marginalizes them. And
yeah,
that term, that NIMBYism, it just further ties in because instead of looking to homeless people and thinking, what can we do to help them? People just think, I don't want them near me. I don't want the drugs near me. I don't want, those people around me. I don't want to think
yeah,
about how sad their lives are. I just want to act like it doesn't exist.
100%.
Hmm.
And so that we see all these people on the streets, they don't want them in their backyard, NIMBYism. Are there shelters? Is there anywhere for them to go? And how does Eric Gavin feel about shelters?
Yeah. So, wonderful question. Actually, there is no such thing as shelters in the Inland Empire.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I was absolutely flabbergasted, just taken aback when Eric Gavin revealed that to me. Essentially, the quote unquote shelters that we have around us, they kind of help a little bit with food, somewhat, but they're not built for homeless people. They're built to help people that are going through hard times, but they're still housed, people that are maybe just struggling financially, but it's
Yeah.
definitely not for those that are left completely without. Those are mainly in Los Angeles, is where they
Yeah.
actually have homeless shelters. But here in Inland Empire, Foothill Family Shelter, all the shelters near us, they don't work with homeless people. They don't find them housing, things like that.
I see. And this echoes what Ed shared in his episode as well. The Foothill Family Shelter was another like name drop shelter that he had and his issues with them. Did Eric Gavin have any experience with them?
Yeah, he tried to work with them multiple times to get people housed, and they just straight up denied him, didn't want to work with him whatsoever. And I actually, myself, I reached out to them on countless times. Back in March 19th, I called them 3 times that day trying to speak with someone. They told me to make an appointment. Told me they didn't have any appointments for that weekend, told me I'd have to make an appointment reservation days out. And so then I just requested information from whoever I could speak to, and they gave me the information of their executive director. Her name is Savannah Emlaw. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her last name, but I emailed her on March 22nd. And I said, "Good evening, Savannah. I hope this message finds you well amidst your busy schedule. My name is Maria Zaldivar, and I have the privilege of serving as the editor in chief of The Breeze. I am reaching out to express my sincere gratitude for taking the time to answer a few questions. As you may know, we are currently working on a story highlighting the housing crisis in Rancho Cucamonga and its surrounding cities. Your insights and expertise would be immensely valuable in providing a deeper understanding of this pressing issue. Thank you once again for considering our requests. I look forward to hearing from you soon." And I sent her a list of 8 questions. None of these questions were invasive specifically to her or to the shelter. I wanted more so to know about the policies in Rancho Cucamonga. My first question, just so you guys get an idea, was what are the primary factors contributing to homelessness in the Inland Empire based on your organization's observations and interactions with the community? I didn't ask anything that was so shocking that I felt would be too invasive or a little bit too like rude. I didn't ask anything that was crazy,
Yeah,
for
that's
lack of
a
better terms. I asked just very normal questions. And that was March 22nd, no response. I follow up March 27th. "Good morning, Savannah," just circling back basically. March 28th, she replies, "Hi, I will send these by tomorrow afternoon." March 28th, I say, "Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much." And I never heard from her since. So they're dodging us.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds like another. If you told me Paul also went through this, I'd believe you because in his episode, yeah, they run around with the Rancho with San
Yep.
Bernardino. I had my own run around with
Chafee PD.
JVPD.
Sure.
So and now you had this with Foothill Family Center.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different runarounds we're facing, and this is time that adds up. Eventually someone's gonna starve to death. They're not gonna have water to drink, not gonna have a place to sleep. Going to places and asking for help and not receiving anything is gets exhausting for anybody, but especially when you're in
Absolutely.
need. You get more and more desperate, and as you do more and more crazy things, and this is how you fall into that quicksand trap. So, did Eric mention any specific reasons why homeless shelters are non-existent? Is there anything that he knows as a professional?
So Eric Gavin doesn't believe in shelters. He believes in finding people permanent housing because shelters are temporary, a temporary fix to a permanent problem.
Yeah,
So he wants people to become fully rehabilitated and to find permanent housing, stable, solid jobs. He doesn't want temporary fixes.
yeah. I mean, as anyone
Mhm.
would,
Mm.
if you're just putting a band-aid on a wound you're eventually gonna bleed out from.
Mhm.
So that makes total sense. I get his perspective on that. Before we leave, though, I will ask you: is there any major thesis or anything you want our audience to take home with Eric Gavin? Anything for policymakers or those in power?
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful question. So, Eric emphasized the importance of increasing housing supply and working collaboratively with law enforcement to address issues of drugs and crime within the homeless community. He also stressed the need for community engagement and managing public perception effectively to garner support for initiatives aimed at addressing homelessness. So, essentially, he wants law enforcement to work together and everyone to address the problem head on, as a team.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
there's a lack of communication from each department.
absolutely, absolutely. And that just further complicates the problem.
That makes total sense. So for him, he wants everyone to communicate better. Is there anything for policymakers or those in power to is there any way to do that for them? Any ideas, or is that just kind of like a broad stroke that he hopes is implemented to those in power?
Yeah, kind of like a broad stroke, yeah, that he wants to implement to those in power. Obviously, legislation changes do need to be made. The public perception needs to change immediately, so that we humanize these people and have empathy for them.
Yeah, empathy will
Mhm.
lead to more resources. Well, thank you so much for showing up today and giving us so much information that you got from Eric Gavin and from your own experiences. Thank you guys for listening to the Dead End Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.